gravity a globe would portray. They clearly meet that ability, no way to form that kind of stability. And before you get off on your water drops, you have to know a thing about the ocean stops. Cause they got waves rising and falling, destroying your faculty about surface tension. In fact, why you would even mention. But gravity, you rush to say, John Law with a role to play. Substitute of Abrahamic thought, result of adjustment to a dying God. You already have a Babylon 2.0, a fucking update here to run the show. And you don't even want to know. It is the same old glorification of the guy. Roman gods are above, they never die. And the team's one hell of a genius thought. Gravity is still unproven and a fraud. And look at the theoretical black holes. They've taken money and debt and their goals, presenting now pretty graphs and sheets. To me it's logic what it feeds. By virtue of an object's mass alone, no attraction to its center was ever shown. Mathematically doomed and believed. Many generations got a seed. CGI is the best out of space you get, and they fell like 500 years yet to show you a spinning ball with water on it while it helps shooting an elliptical orbit. Avoiding A360 pan at all costs, moon landing dead or unfortunately lost. Unable to evidently prove the ball. It's the mechanics of the false wall. Gravity be all around and everywhere, apparently making everything is fair, giving you uncountable objects in orbits, a random universe of chaotic movements. The earth shooting in every direction, couldn't have thought out a more alien fiction.
Investigation, and who is dogged in leading us into finding out what happened. We are at risk of having a flat Earth report come out of the House Intelligence Committee.
All right, sorry about that. That was the next track on my Discord, on my SoundCloud. That was post. I opened up with Hoax World for a reason. Post global awareness, Hoax World, because what we're really talking about here has little to do with curvature. Has nothing to do with the supposed spin of the Earth. I mean, we don't really talk about that very often. It's implicit in everything, but it's not the only thing. In fact, I would say it's the major misdirection. I think by misdirecting us into thinking that this whole thing was open to debate has been one of their greatest successes, because it's delayed us. It's wasted time. So, before I start, earlier today I watched a live stream where Delano was bringing people onto his show to debate the ball. And some of the criticisms that I've heard leveled against his style of debate is, if you're debating from the Bible, it doesn't count in the laboratory, it's not scientific. And I used to say the same thing. I wouldn't argue from the Bible. However, I've given it some thought, and I think at this point, since there is no debate, and it is incumbent upon them to bring the evidence to us, that is, those with a spinning ball, they have to prove it to us. I think that it doesn't matter why someone thinks the world's flat. It doesn't really matter. If they say it's flat, the burden of proof isn't on them. It's still on the spinning ball. And that's never really been scientifically validated. So this is a short clip just from a podcast earlier today. This is Flat Earth Debate is Over. Rule number 7, defer to Delano. It's only about 10 minutes. I was driving when I recorded this. The word proof, as far as it's used within this conversation, has several different definitions. But at this point, I think we could just let it suffice to say that it doesn't matter why Delano believes the Earth is flat. It doesn't matter why he believes it. We're talking about a belief system which would suggest we're on a spinning ball hurtling through an empty void. You know the story.
versus people saying, I don't believe that. Now, not believing that does not require that you have a perfect explanation for everything that is. Even the official explanation for everything that is far from complete. So, it is not incumbent upon Delano to provide evidence for the spinning ball. And when he says, I believe the earth is flat because the Bible, doesn't matter. It doesn't take away from the fact that it's flat. It doesn't take away from the fact that the ball has not been scientifically validated, verified, demonstrated, proven. So, I don't care if someone goes out there all day long preaching biblical flat earth. I don't care. That's their reason for believing it. However, it doesn't mean that I'm endorsing those arguments. I'm just not endorsing debating itself. I think the debate's over. There's no need to debate it. I'm not going to go debate someone who's asserting that the moon is made out of cheese until he provides me reasonable evidence to suggest that this might be the case. But I'm not going to waste my time. And same with the spinning ball thing. I mean, prove it, bring some evidence, show us some compelling reason to think it's a ball, and until you do, I'm just going to think you have a quirky explanation for the reason why things work. Which, it's an explanation, but I'm not satisfied with. An explanation which doesn't fit the requirements of being labeled a scientifically established fact. Some people make arguments, Delano in particular, against the ball earth from a place of incredulity. Arguments from incredulity. Like Dell pouring water on a soccer ball. It doesn't stick to a soccer ball. Well, maybe that's not the best argument, technically speaking, in terms of forensic debate. However, again, it doesn't matter why someone doesn't believe it. I'm just happy that people are out there saying they don't believe it, because it's okay not to believe. Now, is it okay to not recognize facts? Well, that's a rejection of reality, and that's delusion. So, for example, not believing in the spinning ball doesn't require the rejection of any facts, because the ball is a collection of unproven assertions. Believing flat earth doesn't require belief. It's not a belief. And that's what all of the opponents of it get wrong. Flat earth is not a belief. It's the absence of the spinning ball. So you could make the argument that, as a flat earther, you are in fact not a flat earther. You're just someone who doesn't accept the spinning ball premise. This preposterous notion. You've rejected it. And what are you by default? Well, they call you a flat earther. This is their own name. It's like conspiracy theorist. It is a controlled opposition name. You're just an earther. You're just a created being. A sentient, ensouled being having an experience here in this world which has been misrepresented to you by your leadership and by those you trust and by centuries of tradition and bad habit. Bad faith. Malfeasance. Overt deception. Mind war. Psychological warfare. Mind fuckery. The globe is a containment unit for the human imagination. The globe is a containment unit designed to keep people from even trying to pull at their chains. The idea is, when it comes to control, is that the best controlled, the best policed are those who control and police themselves. You don't want to have to micromanage. You don't want to have to rule people with an iron fist. So you put the police officer in their head. You cause them to police one another. And so you teach them to tell one another, hey, it's not okay to not believe what the authority figure said. That guy with the badge said this, trust him. That guy with that emblem around his neck said that, trust him. Oh, look at that guy. He has a stethoscope. Trust that one. That one over there's got a bow tie. Total credulity. Utmost confidence in that guy. He's got a bow tie. You see how that works? Oh, coming out of the TV screen, any faces projected from that box in the corner will be accepted without question. That's what the thought police do. And by thought police, I mean the people in your life who tell you it's not okay to question these sources. And that's what the system did. It's self-policing. So when you think you're, quote, debating with a lot of these globe lovers, all you're really doing is you're fighting with, or you're being attacked by, the immune system of this apparatus, which uses the mechanism of a self-policing populace to maintain itself, to maintain its invisible rule. It's an invisible cage. The globe is an invisible cage. And that's all. You know, if you see through it, that's all you need to know. So Delano TV, big channel, reaching a lot of new people with these ideas. It's like, I don't care if he doesn't talk about the formula to determine the curvature of the Earth. I don't care if he's not up there debunking the ISS, which is eminently debunkable. I don't care if he's not calling out space agencies left and right and trying to point by point say, hey, look, there's a harness. Hey, look, there's augmented virtual reality. Hey, look, there's a bubble. Hey, look, there's a moth. I don't care if he doesn't do that. There are enough of us doing that anyway. The case has been made. The case has been made that there's no reason to believe in the globe except for a desire to believe in something. But there is no valid reason to know it's true. So in other words, you may believe you're on a spinning ball, but you don't know it. You may also believe you're on a flat stationary plane, but you have more reason to know it as a statement of fact. There's no leap of faith to say, this shit doesn't move. There's no stellar parallax. A lot of things don't add up. It appears to be flat and stationary. There's no leap there. Whereas you have Curvert saying, oh no, there is curve over there. There is curve. And in one of Delano's conversations today, because he invited some guests on, she pretty much admitted it. She said, you know how you believe in a God? Well, you believe that there's a curve there. Like, you know, you're hearing the terminology here, where I think people are going to wake up to the fact that what they thought was knowledge was in fact belief. And ultimately, that's what this podcast, this blog, this record of my thoughts is about. It's about determining where what we know ends and what we believe begins. As Crow 777 says, belief is the enemy of knowledge. You know, faith is not a virtue. Faith is not a virtue. It's been sold to you as such, but that's a lie. Faith is not a virtue. Faith is a handicap that you impose upon yourself. It's a kick-me sign for the powers that be, for the predatory elite and all their institutions to prey upon you. If you're faithful, it means you're obedient. And is it necessarily a good thing to be obedient? Does being obedient make you virtuous? No. No. But the people who would have you obeying them would like you to think so. And so when I hear someone like Delano and others who are just angrily saying, I don't buy any of this shit, that's all I need to hear to listen to them and to give them my attention and to share their content, because we need to show that there is no consensus. We're breaking a consensus. Now is not the time for finesse. Now is not the time for a calm parsing of the facts. We've already done that. It's already been done. It's been done again and again. And the same cannot be said for the globe. The globe is an imposition, and it contains within it and requires and instills a toxic ideology and self-hatred for all mankind. It's one of the reasons why the globe has to go. 2018, the year the Earth goes flat. I mean, it's always been flat, but 2018 is the year that we awaken to this thing. And the changes to come, if I had to guess, I would say it would be equivalent to the way that literacy has changed the world. We're going to become literate, cognizant of reality in a whole new way. Thank you for listening. Please subscribe.
All right, there you go. So that was just that was recorded from earlier. And hey, if you can't get in, just open a Sock Puppet account and I'll get you a wrench. It takes more than 5 minutes of my time to dig you out of the dungeon, unblock you, wrench you, and get you in. It's like, honestly, at this point, just open a sock. You know, that's all. Because I don't even like YouTube. I don't even like YouTube. You know, you have all the access to everything you need over at theflatearthnetwork.com. F YouTube. Joey Silva says IPS keeps up truth against all odds. Thank you. Appreciate that. I mean, that's really what we're doing here. We're just speaking the truth, and we're debating people who aren't coming from a place of truth. Faith does not equal truth, and that's been one of their big ruses. They've convinced you that having faith is to be in truth, that, well, I have faith, therefore I'm correct. No, I'm sorry. It's not always the same. Faith and truth are not the same. They're usually quite the opposite. Faith is used to cover up the fact that it is not true. It's to keep you from noticing that whatever it is that's being posited is not the truth. It's not just faith. We're not just talking religion. We're talking faith in media, faith in government, faith in academia. We're talking about faith in the institutions that you put your trust in. You should trust but verify. But faith, no. Faith needs to go. Faith is the enemy. And so if you're debating the faithful, you're wasting your time.
Subscribe, and if you want to support this blog,
Sorry. It's like, shut up, IPS. Okay, so let's see who else is here. Jose couldn't agree more with that presentation. Hey, appreciate it. Share it is what you can do. I'm trying to do more podcasts. I just have been behind. But generally, like when I'm driving around and stuff, I record. And I just haven't had time to actually put them into anything. But I just got some video editing software to be using for finding the edge. And so I'll be using that to put a lot of these recordings just onto YouTube. Kyle McDonald says, looking for the edge is more interesting than assuming there is none. Yeah, that is the exact reason why I said infinite plane makes more sense as an approach than assuming an enclosure. If you assume an enclosure, you're not going anywhere. Just get comfortable and just watch it unfold. If there's more land, it changes the nature of everything. It changes the dynamic of the game. Also, I will be following chats in the Discord. So if you can't get on YouTube, I'll just follow you in Discord, and there's nothing we can do about it. I went through, as you saw last night, I went through my troll list. I have over 1,000 trolls coming after me. That's how many sock puppets there are. So it would take several hours of work. So if you really want in, you know, my time has a certain price tag attached to it. I'll go dig through the damn dungeon. It's like, that's the only way it's going to happen. So I just say, open a sock puppet. Open one now. You could use one anyway. They come in handy. So like, let's say you're over there at NASA's, space feed where they're showing you some fake thing. They're telling you is the moon live when it happens to be 10-year-old photos stretched over a CGI ball. When those liars are presenting something, they will block you for telling the truth. So it helps to have a sock puppet account. And if you're not in the process of making sock puppet accounts and automatically just getting over boundaries and barriers, what are you doing? You know, we just need to get in the habit of having to get around community guidelines, get around terms of service. We have to get around the machinery design, breaking the paddock down. What's up, Patriot Gains? I saw you there on Delano's channel. And I saw your super chat there. You told him to drop an album, which is a good idea. The thing I like about Delano is that he's willing to say what he thinks, and he's changing the dynamic of the debate in the same way that I've been saying it needs to be done. Shift the burden of proof. He's like, I don't need to prove flat earth. You need to prove the spinning ball. And as far as what I'm going off of what I believe to be the best explanation in the Bible. That's his thing. I don't care. My point being, it doesn't matter why he believes it. The fact is, he rejects a belief system that is an imposition. So yeah, we have Nameless and Shill Scanner are both banned for some reason. I don't know why. It's probably the NSA, Elon Musk. They do put wedges in between great minds. They don't want us coalescing. They don't want convergences. And things get really matrixy. It's really bizarre. Like when I was in Denver for FEMA camp the day before, and everything was going wrong in just the strangest ways. People going crazy. It was bizarre. And I call it matrixy because it just seems like those types of things happen. Now, Globies wouldn't know anything about this, because they're lockstep, and when you march in lockstep with everybody else, everything seems normal, It's only the people who are out of step that, create chaos for the thing that stand out. And I think the system is designed to kind of filter us out. I was thinking about today about programming and about how they condition you to fear being laughed at. I mean, isn't that what it is? Going over the edge, the laugh tracks. How many of these news segments, like BBC and otherwise, covering Flat Earth in the conference, added laugh tracks? And so it's like, well, I don't give a damn. And that's why we put beaks on everything. That's why we do. That's why we make these ridiculous memes like you see on the screen here. Um, this would be Keith Carson. Is that, yeah, they think they're laughing at us, but the truth is, it's really the other way around, you know. And sure, they're going to laugh at us, but we're laughing harder, and we can prove it. And we actually have something to laugh at. Their laughter is really just a visceral response to being challenged in a deep and visceral way. You know, when your elite, when your attachment or your connection to a group is being challenged, when your faith in the group is being upset, and your survival is connected with group survival, of course there's going to be a bit of a visceral response to being told that the whole group is wrong, that you disagree with the group. Let's see. Travis Cloud says, Delano says you can't be a flat earther and be scared. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's all the trolls do. That's all they have, is they don't have arguments. They just use a blunt force approach uh, to basically outgroup you. You know, tell you that's one of the reasons why they drop your docs. Why do you think you have people who, instead of arguments, will drop your name and address? It's because they want to remind you that, hey, look, your part of the tribe, your part of the group is being threatened. I will outgroup you. It's just a psychological ploy. So again, here is a Discord link for those of you who want to get into Discord. And like I said, I'm unfortunately unable to pull people out of the dungeon. The dungeon's too big. Not my fault. You can blame YouTube for encouraging this. They facilitate it. It's okay to cyberbully people who don't believe in the spinning ball thing. Morgan Ellis says, you're right, IPS. I don't give a fuck if I'm laughed at. I've been laughed at my whole life. Kyle McDonald says, their laughter is based on a self-perceived superiority and arrogance. Our laughter is based on, oh, you don't realize you've been fooled at. Exactly. That's kind of my thing, too. It's like, who really here is in an awkward predicament? You know, those of us who have already, you know, thought our way out of it, or those who are in denial that it even exists and haven't confronted it yet. You know, so let's go back to this. Yesterday, I was going over the news, and I got distracted before I could get back to this, the dinosaur fossil. I got distracted by the celebrities for some reason. Oh, that's right, it was Kyrie Irving directed a commercial where he had a flat earth map and he showed off his Illuminati shoes. And then we had the Bell Illuminati Taco Bell driving people insane with trying to understand why this would happen. I think it's mostly smart marketing. You know, prove me wrong. Dinosaur fossil, so well preserved it looks like a statue. Dinosaurs are a huge target for us this year, as is the ISS. In fact, we have two winners. If somebody in the Discord can bring them up. There are two memes. We had a contest yesterday, so who could bring down the ISS, you know, in a meme. The idea was we wanted like a big game animal surrounded by smiling hunters with their weapons, but we wanted the animal replaced with the ISS, and we have a couple of versions of that, which I'm going to share with you here. But dinosaurs are easily debunkable, need to be debunked, because we have to remember that they aim their propaganda at children. That's why the astronauts are always doing stupid magic tricks that you would see at a birthday party. That's why they don't engage in intelligent discourse. How come when the ISS, the International Space Station, a technological marvel, 250 miles above at 17,000 miles per hour, how come when we're talking to them, you don't have engineers, physicists? How come you don't have, you know, people who might want to know how the thing works, asking questions? Why is it always kids? How do you go pee? You know, why'd you want to be an astronaut? Why do they dumb it down? Well, it's because they don't want you paying attention. Same with the dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are dumb as fuck. And it's a cool idea, but they're dumb. They're ludicrous. They're just monsters. They're fantasy. And the reason why you would think that they're even believable is because they had you when you were a kid. They tricked you. So what we're looking at here is them doing damage control. We've been saying, you know, they've never found a complete skeleton. They've never found a skull. These are all theoretical models. They've never found one under a construction site. Why is that? You would think that after all these foundations being dug, somewhere somebody would have found a dinosaur bone. We've made all these questions, we've stated these things and said, hey, these are unanswered questions. And in the last few months, these things have been popping up. They found a Triceratops skull in Denver, right underneath the Starbucks they were digging or something, a foundation for. And now here they have a full dinosaur skeleton. And then just a few months ago, they gave us their 360 view of space with a cosmonaut. They're responding to flat earthers. Isn't that interesting? If you think about it, the media narrative, the space program, how it's represented, and now archaeology, they're responding to what we're talking about and the questions we're asking. It's almost like we're being used as guinea pigs for them to determine, what kind of questions do we need to watch out for and how do we prevent these questions from being asked in the future. That's why I think it's important not to think that this is something that's going to take 10 or 15 years. Because the longer you take, the better they will get at patching up the holes in the system, which is already hemorrhaging. So right now is the point where you prevent the wounds that you've opened from healing. You just keep at it. And I kind of think that dinosaurs and the ISS happen to be two of their weak links, along with blimps and pretty much everything else. But so here we go, our complete dinosaur skeleton. It says here, before being assembled, most fossils look nothing like dinosaurs, but this one, found in Canada, is so well preserved it looks like a statue. So they finally found a full dinosaur. A 2,500-pound dinosaur fossil. The technicians scraped it and examined the specimen. I couldn't believe my eyes. It was a full dinosaur skeleton. We were convinced. This is the equivalent of them showing us a picture of the Earth and saying, or this is like, remember when they showed us the Earth spinning for 360 for 24 hours on a time lapse and they showed you the moon? You remember that fake piece of garbage? That cartoon? That was a response to this, to us asking questions. This is the same thing. There's no real dinosaur skeletons. That's been one of our main themes, one of our memes, one of the things we've been shouting. And now here they are producing some work of art. It's pretty. It could be use it on the Game of Thrones on the set. I mean, this is just art. Just like everything else, it's all artifice. So I couldn't believe my eyes. Oh, look at the name of it. A nodosaur. Member of the heavily armored ankylosaur subgroup that roamed during the Cretaceous period, according to the Smithsonian. This group of heavy herbivores, which walked on four legs, resembled a cross between a lizard and a lion. A lizard and a lion. That sounds very interesting. It sounds like something, I want to Google that. But covered with scales. It sounds like something out of one of these medieval grimoires. These chimeras. But anyway, it's bullshit. Christmas present for you. This was for us. You who are asking questions about dinosaurs, and one of the main arguments against the ball earth thing is, hey, there's no picture. Well, one of the main arguments against the dinosaur racket, the dino racket, has been, in fact, let me type in dino racket. I think the Nightbot has a response to that. No full skeletons, no fully articulated skeletons ever found. And now here they go. Just bringing them up. Here we go. You're going to like this. This is a GIF created by one of our meme technicians over at the Discord. Just speaking of dinosaurs. What was this dinosaur from? It was some movie. Caveman. Yeah. Going through the comments. Oh, and by the way, if you want a wrench, email infiniteplainsociety@gmail.com and I will get you a wrench. Those of you who were de-wrenched or banned, I tried to get you out. I'll try again tonight. I'll make a real honest effort. So anyway, I see this as success. Anytime the Ministry of Propaganda reacts to what we're doing, it exposes their vulnerability. Because this is garbage. And the fact is, every piece of quote evidence that they bring to support their stupid ball is just more garbage. And they get worse at it. What's up, Bullet 1536? Just talking about fake dinosaurs, the dinosaur racket, which is going to be exposed in 2018. We're also going to bring down the ISS. And the way that's going to happen, we have a few different approaches. One, we're drafting a petition to bring it down because we feel for we really fear for the safety of the government employees at such a high rate of speed, at such a height, with no visible material safety data sheets. I haven't seen any OSHA inspections. I just don't feel like it's very safe. And so I'm going to ask in this petition that we bring down the ISS and then just redistribute that money to, I don't know, inner city schools or something. Although I wouldn't even go there because we know what schools are for. But whatever it is, we also want to make the case that space junk is hazardous to our health, that worse than global warming, a greater threat, a more imminent threat, is the threat that a satellite could come down and kill your family on Thanksgiving. Just land on your dinner table. It'd fuck up your whole block. And how many tens of thousands of satellites are up there? So like I was saying yesterday, Mad Mike couldn't get the BLM to allow him to launch 500 feet into the air, 1,800 feet across the desert in the Mojave near a ghost town with a population of 4. And all 4 of them would be right there. He couldn't get permission to do that, right? And it just illustrates a point here, I guess, about... Hold on, going through the comments here. Yeah, so some private citizen wants to do something like, no. But then the government has these rockets going up there, and they're putting satellites up there. The military's putting satellites up there, and, isn't that a little more dangerous? What if one of them falls down? Like, seriously, why wouldn't a satellite fall down? So anyway, that's one thing. That's one angle. So one angle is it's not safe for us. The other angle, it's not safe for them. And of course, we're going to continually point out the fact that the thing is fake. And I would like to recruit all of the people who are busy Apollo busting. All the people who know that the Apollo lunar landing was a hoax. Like, duh, we know it was a hoax. Like, there's a point where you've made your case, and you have to realize that the other side is deliberately deceiving you. They're not wrong. They didn't make a mistake. They're deceiving you. And because they're deceiving you, they will never concede. And since they will never concede, you just have to make the case for yourself and on your own judgment recognize, okay, Apollo moon hoax, confirmed, and move on. And so all those who are wasting their time on the moon hoax, let's go ahead and focus on bringing down the ISS. Meanwhile, we'll make it an object of ridicule with petitions suggesting that we bring it down for lack of safety features. And everything else. I mean, what viable science experiments have they done? I know they have a lot of science racks. I know they do sciencey stuff with centrifuges. And I know they do sciencey stuff with food and peanut butter and jelly sandwiches in space. But what have they actually done that would justify the loss of human life that would happen if one piece of space debris hit that thing? And then also, we just found out that Scott Kelly received 20 times the amount of X-ray to his chest, the amount of radiation to his chest, rather, the radiation levels that he's received. I think they said it's 20 times that what he should have experienced in an entire lifetime in the last year. Like, he's basically dead. He fried. He's basically been microwaved for you, which is part of making them into martyrs. Same reason why they pretended to kill the Challenger people. Nobody died in the Challenger. Nobody died. Lots of people got paid, and lots of people cried. It was an effective psychodrama, the establishment of martyrs, and that's what they're doing, martyrs. Scott Kelly's a martyr. And the reason they make him a martyr is so you can't attack him. The same reason you can't attack the bullshit that comes out of the speaker with the animatronic, you know who I'm talking about, is that to criticize what he's saying, to criticize him, is to be unfair or a bully because he has these supposed infirmaries. So when you have someone like Scott Kelly claiming to be a victim, or rather claiming to be a martyr, it's that much more difficult to go after him. Just like crisis actors. Oh, you can't attack the crisis actor. He's crying. He just had a loss. You can't question the narrative. Well, yes, I can. I absolutely can. And they use tears to bully you. They use emotions to bully you. They use tears. They use rage. You have to look at how psychological manipulation happens on the individual level and just recognize that they employ the exact same techniques in their propaganda. That's what actors do. Actors are hired to go on a screen and convince you that they're experiencing emotions to cause you to reciprocate, to have an emotion, to resonate with it. Morgan Ellis says, I'm so glad he okay. Copacetic says astronauts suck cocoa balls. Yeah, they do. And that was for a children's show. If anybody has a link, I'll play it, but I'm not going to hunt it down. But that guy, it's like his job. There's this one weirdo in the ISS. His whole job is just to float around upside down, like sucking on things that are sprayed into the air, like Peg Whitman sprayed those weird like Jello balls. Bullet 1536 says game over. Talking about 2018. It's true. When we say game over, game is an acronym. It refers to uh, the complex, the government, academia, media, entertainment complex that includes all of the traitors among us, all the crisis actors who've all colluded to deceive you. That's their game. This is their game board, and we're just not playing anymore. We don't have to turn the board over. We don't have to break any of the pieces. We just have to stop playing. So anyway, new dinosaur fossil, fake news, fake science. Hashtag fake science. That's got to be popularized in 2018. 2017 is really where fake news took off. It picked up at the end of 2016, but 2017 is where it got big. And so fake science, we need to go ahead and here's the thing. They will try to use that against us. They already have. They already have. Media try to use it too. They said, oh, what flat earthers believe is fake science. No, absolutely the opposite. It's actually science. What globe believers believe is a belief system called scientism. And so I think we ought to start doing is on every video, and I'll start doing it myself just to, kind of set the tone here, set an example, is on every single flat earth thing you upload, you ought to have fake science as a hashtag. More important than flat earth, in fact. That way, anytime they try to, because they're trying to co-opt fake science, anytime they use it, anytime somebody searches fake science, we want them to arrive at our assessment of what fake science is. Because what they would have us, to them, what they want the public to think is fake science is non-mainstream science. Just like fake news is non-mainstream news. And that's not what it is. Fake news is propaganda. Fake science is propaganda. Another article, Inside the Flat Earther's Mind. I went over this yesterday. Bill Nye had a meltdown. Maybe it had something to do with the tanning booth. He had some kind of an unfortunate accident. The guy's fried, but he lost his mind. We don't care what he thinks. Also, something happened in Russia. Another one of these pyrotechnic displays. And hey, that rocket thing from the other night, all those people said, oh, it's UFOs, or it's an alien, or it's rockets from somewhere. No, it's a PR stunt. Same thing happened in Russia. Even looks the same. This is a PR stunt. I don't know if there's much behind it other than just the ritual, the solstice, the typical celebration. This, like I said, do you remember I said this last week? I said, they don't care whether you're, however you decide, or however you are genuflecting before the power of state. They don't care whether you worship state with its awesome technological prowess at Johnson Space Center. They don't care if you worship the state in the form of religion, as in bowing to the obelisk, genuflecting before the obelisk, St. Peter's Basilica, symbol of the sun god, resurrection. They don't care if you worship government. As long as you have the Washington Monument, the obelisk, or whether you're cowering in fear before the obelisk of the North Koreans, which is described to you as a missile that could destroy you, but it's just another obelisk they're waving around. So all they're having you do here is right now, the people staring at this thing, not knowing what it is, left in need of a priesthood to define what they just saw, they were just given a mystery. This is all psychodrama. This was to place them in a state of suggestibility and worship before the awesome power of the state. This is them. It's obelisk worship. Exploration of fake space says, looks like they're busting a load in fake space. Well, that's exactly it. SpaceX even calls it their payload. And the obelisk represents the male, the fertility god. The sky is the womb of the goddess, which is impregnated when the rocket goes up. Ancient sun worship, ancient astrotheology. Just given a new veneer, a scientific camouflage. But all the people staring at this stuff, they're worshiping the Wizards of Oz. That's all this is. So those of you who recognize it as nothing more than fireworks, you're seeing through it. You're not, and if you're not afraid of the guy in North Korea, so they want you to be like the cowardly lion. The Wizard of Oz thing is a perfect analogy. Oz is in fact a reference to Osiris, god of the obelisk, the wizards of the obelisk. This is their pageantry, which they use to get you to suspend disbelief. To get you, and so they have already. I mean, to me, this is just a blimp in fireworks. I'm not even going to say it's blue beam. I'm not going to say it's preparing us for an alien invasion. I don't even think they could pull that off. I think we're just looking at coordinated fireworks taking place on the solstice, part of their elaborate ceremonies. It's an esoteric religion. So if you think you're looking at a rocket, well, you're a profane, you're exoteric, you're on the outside. Elon Musk and his crew, they know what they're actually doing. This is a religious ceremony. It's not a science experiment, it's a religious ceremony. It's an observance of the solstice. I mean, this is just Mystery Babylon. 2017. Thank you for getting rid of that troll. And if you notice what I'm doing now, because I get so many quality comments in here, I'm actually zooming in on a lot of the comments and leaving them on the screen. And then I'm allowing those of you to, I'm allowing the trolls to get banned. So their ugly comments don't show up. Jared Wickley says, I would pay millions to see Elon Musk. Oh, yeah. Research weaponized psychodrama, says Kyle McDonald. Weaponized psychodrama. Well, see, this is what we're looking at, though. You know, it's interesting, but when you start looking at everything within the framework of a religion and mythology and superstition, it all makes perfect sense. So what we have are high priests that we're trying to depose. We don't need them. We don't believe them. We don't need them to interpret our reality for us. We don't want to pay them. We don't want to demand their permission, and we don't need them to explain anything to us. Space is fake. Space isn't cool, all you nerds and you trolls. Space isn't cool. It's not where the smart kids go, or the well-behaved ones, or the really smart ones. It's not where the future of humanity goes after we fuck up this planet. Space isn't our salvation. Space isn't heaven. They've sold space as part of this utopian one-worldism. Space is the false heaven. It's no different than any other utopian system, and that's what makes it dangerous. Utopianism kills. And utopia itself is not the same as paradise. A lot of people use the words interchangeably. They couldn't be any more different. Utopia and paradise are two different things. Utopia is total state control, like the perfectly designed state where no cog is out of place. Utopia looks like 1984. That's always been the case. You know, Thomas More. You know, you read about it. It's like, oh, the perfect utopia would have a trench around it. No one could leave. This many kids per household, and they would live this long. I mean, total control, top to bottom. Walker, Dana Walker says, where do the smart kids go? Flat Earth Network. That's correct, honestly. The smartest people are finding their way to Flat Earth. That's the truth. You know, prove me wrong. Or show me a smart globie who's not just a blind believer, who's not even aware that they've been deceived. And not that they're not intelligent. It's just that their intelligence has been compromised by stupid beliefs. And belief is stupid. Faith is not a virtue. Those are lies. You know, if a manipulator, a liar, a thief says, hey, it's really good for you to be very trusting. Should you be very trusting? Obviously, no. They want you to rely on them to do all of your thinking for you. They don't want you to have individual discernment. When I say they, I mean statists, worshippers of big government. I mean thought police. And I mean even not just the J-trigs, but the ones who are just going with the flow. They think that the proper thing to do is to attack people with different ideas. It's ideological bigotry. You see it. It's, I don't know, I used to say it was just a facet of the political left, but the entire political spectrum has been corrupted by the whole thing. You know, I used to mock people for saying, oh, it's a left-right paradigm, I'm not getting involved. And now it's like, well, it makes sense. And it took me a while to actually see out of it. Like, I saw through school shooting, psychological operations, fakes, hoaxes, before I saw through all the terrorist ones. And I think it's because I had a bias in favor of a certain narrative in which radical Islamic terror was a real thing. And I believed it. I had no reason not to until I started questioning, and that's why I think it's important to question. Until I started questioning the priesthood and the function of the media itself. Until I started to realize that we're not looking at Democrat-controlled media with a bias. No, we're looking at government-controlled media on both sides. And that really became, and this is one of the reasons why I think that they come down so hard on people who are trying to expose the truth behind Sandy Hook, because what Sandy Hook exposes is one, crisis actors. Most people didn't know that existed, which is a big deal. We need to expand the lexicon so people can understand the nature of the deception. And how can you understand it if you can't describe it? And so people need to know that crisis actors exist, that drills are presented as real in order to terrorize the population and then to be presented as an ongoing propaganda film to advance a political narrative. This stuff's not hard to understand, but we just need a lexicon to understand it. And what Sandy Hook revealed was there's a collusion between the Department of Justice. It goes up to the president. I mean, this is fucked up to say it. But the government colludes with the media, with the academia, with citizen traders, with people in entertainment in order to deceive us. I mean, that's the picture. Flat Earth Dude says, if Flat Earth went mainstream today, what's next? What do you mean? It is mainstream. You know, we're not waiting for the majority of people. We're not waiting for 51%, I'll tell you that. This is not something that we decide by consensus. They would have you believe, you know, the priesthood of the day would have you believe that science is a matter of consensus, which is an anti-scientific statement. Neil deGrasse Tyson, Neil deGrope, Cosby, whatever you want to call him, he's been one of the worst in this, to say that to disbelieve in science is somehow a thought crime. You're misthinking, that it's dangerous. He's pretty bad about it. He's also said that if 97% of people or scientists believe in something, you ought to believe it. Well, that's not scientific at all. We're not relying on consensus here. We don't need 51%. I say we need 5% active. All we need is a couple of whistleblowers. All we need is a couple of crisis actors, or maybe someone within the ISS movie studio no longer able to sleep at night because they realize what they're a part of. We need somebody with a conscience, somebody who, and so it'll happen. That's all we're waiting for. I mean, the facts are there. I mean, there's no supporting evidence for the spinning ball model. It's a matter of belief. It's something you can accept or not accept, but it's not something that can be proven. Hasn't been. And if it was so easy to demonstrate, it would have been done by now. Christopher says, IPS showing the space spermy thing. Yes, fake invasion imminent. That's part of the subtext. They have lots of different narratives here. So you see the alien people are telling us that they're preparing us for an invasion. See, I think that they had intended this is why I don't think that flat Earth in the way that we're seeing it is a controlled rollout, as many will say. I don't think that's the case. I think it's more likely that they expected the Flat Earth Society to be the Flat Earth Society, to be it, and to remain the controlled opposition under the thumb of the Planetary Society with Bill Nye. I thought this was the dynamic that they set up, and they didn't expect Flat Earth to blow up the way it has in so many different directions. Adam says, if we call it before it happens, what does that make us? Like future seers. Interesting. Well, yeah, isn't it interesting? That's a good question. Walker says, IPS, the ideal teacher, an authentic university with no controls. Yeah, what we've done here is we're maximizing the use of communications technologies, and the old structure of one figure speaking to a group of people who all are, just silently listening, that was necessary because of the limitations of sound. One person could only be heard by so many, and if you're talking and passing notes, you diminish the ability for everyone else to hear you. And so now that's not such an issue. So now we're like, yeah, we're having a lecture in a sense, but you're all passing notes and you're sharing information back and forth. And so everyone is being informed by everyone, including the so-called teacher. The roles are changed. And in the old system, the old structure, you would have the teacher itself would be just a representative of the authoritarian with a state-approved, sanitized book. And the people in the room, not taking notes, not asking questions, are just absorbing and reciting what's handed to them from that book. That's called a reality filter. At least that's what I call it. And so what I'm saying here is that we have a world of people who've all been deceived by a series of reality filters. That's what I call the game. The filters being handed to you through government, academia, media, entertainment, and then of course how these all interact in the culture and in the institutions to cause people to all essentially self-police. It's the paddock. And that's what we're involved with breaking. The paddock walls. And we used to call it a sheep pen, but I started calling it a paddock ever since Vegas, because when they called the guy, the actor Stephen Paddock, shooting all the people, to me, I think that was a statement of how they see us, as we're in a paddock. Go find the other says, speak normally and carry a big wrench. All right. Does anybody want to call in? I mean, the main thing on the news I really wanted to go over today, which I already went over, is that they claim they found a damn dinosaur. So well preserved it looks like a statue. Because I'm kind of thinking, I'm planning out. I have my whiteboard out, and I'm trying to decide, what am I going to do over the next 12 months? 2018 or 3AG, depending on which side of the curve you're on. What do you expect to happen? And so I have a list of things. You've probably seen my to-do list, or rather my predictions. And among those is bringing down both dinosaurs and the ISS. I think we could do it all in one fell swoop. And then we're also working on things behind the scenes over here at Discord. I'm going to have a meme stream going on tonight. I'm kind of going through, oh, this is good. Yeah, and also this is one of the things we've been working on lately. We have some of these animated GIFs. This one here makes the case. This is something I've been talking about lately. You know how I've been saying and this has been said, I think Wernher von Braun even said it, the idea of a universal threat. They could use an alien invasion to unite everyone. They could use terrorism to unite everyone. They're always looking for a universal threat. So then you have the protracted PSYOP known as global warming as something that is set up to be the one world unifier, but they're having a hard time getting everyone to go along with it. Mainly because accepting it means giving up a lot of property. People know what it's actually about. Not everyone's fooled by it. So now they're coming up, and this is why I keep talking about bringing down the ISS satellites. They're trying to introduce, and I've seen this in many different subtexts, they're trying to introduce space junk as the next big universal threat. So if the next big universal threat is space junk, then maybe we ought to use this little bit of fear-mongering they're cooking up against them. And we do so simply by drawing attention to the fact that we, the people of planet Earth, and of course we're playing their game, do not feel safe with these heavy metal objects up in the air. If you agree that satellites are scary as fuck, put a 33 in the chat stream right now. If you agree that space junk and satellites are scary, drop a 33. Okay. 100 watching right now. Awesome. Kyle says, let's start the Flat Earth branded mixed nut company. Call them Delano's Nuts. Yeah, you can give them to your Globy friends as gifts, And don't give them to your Flat Earth friends, and don't even tell them what it means, It'd be like an inside joke. Like, until you're one of us, you can, what, who's, what's. Okay, here's my number if anybody wants to call. Okay, I see. The number is 505-510-4226. 505-510-4226. I do not answer anonymous calls, so if you're a coward, go ahead and just pass on this opportunity. Earther says ISS is space junk. You're correct. And if you get wrenched, it's because you haven't emailed me first. Don't take it personally. Okay, phone is open. Go ahead and recall whoever just called, or I'll call you back if you don't. I didn't have my browser open. The sky is falling, says Steve. Yep. So there's no one here. No one here feels at all. No one here, judging by the comments here, feels safe. With 40,000, like how big are these things? Like school buses. Like, would you be cool if some company said, hey, we can improve your internet service, but we got to get this school bus sized hunk of metal and we're going to catapult it over your house every 3 hours. We're just going to throw these big metal buses over your house and that'll improve your satellite signal. Like, would you go along with that? Infinite Plane Society. Hello?
Yo, what's up, man? This is Adam G.
Hey, what's up, Adam G? Calling from, let me get, you're in Louisiana or is it Georgia?
South Carolina, buddy.
South Carolina. Sorry, I knew it was over there. And
Yeah, man. Just right outside Columbia. How you been?
very good. Just getting into the routine of the daily Flat Earth report because so many developments on the daily. So I remember like you called like 4 months ago, and you're like, man, what's up with the Mad Mike?
Oh,
You were like, I know you're getting a lot of shit for the Mad Mike, but I think he's gonna do it. I remember that night you called, and I was like,
oh,
hey, what do you think now?
oh. I mean, he's totally going all the way with it, man. I mean, I'm glad that like you're giving him his space and stuff like that. And I'm actually, I mean, I did have a couple drinks, but I'm not like drunk like like I was like other times and stuff. I used to to be perfectly honest. I mean, like your paradigm shifts kind of like filled in the gaps for me with things that I had thought and stuff like that. I never thought to take into account that these motherfuckers actually don't exist. never once thought that, and that totally kind of clarified things for me. But the reason why I was drunk all the time, man, is because like I was kind of like scared to like get on the phone and public and talk about shit without being like super wasted.
Right.
So yeah, I mean everything's all good now and everything. I kind of like settled down as a flat earther, without all the the bullshit of seeing something and then going like, oh my God, is this real, and blah blah blah. But one of the reasons I wanted to call in is actually for support of the thing going on with Mad Mike and everything, and I hope he gets some good coverage, and I hope that little documentary thing goes good and all that. But I wanted to talk about like things that could happen. I'm actually glad that you read my comment out loud. Out of all the comments that I make, it was that one. But yeah, like if we call it before it happens, like what does that make us? And like if they do, here's one of my predictions that I think might happen. Like a bunch of globalists get shot, and it's a flat earther that does it. I mean,
Interesting.
I'm gonna go ahead and call that right now. So that way, and people got to understand, like like a flat earther will be the last one that's like with an AK-47, like blowing people's heads off and shit. They would literally be the last people or person that would ever do something like that.
Well,
but I'm just gonna go ahead and call it.
That's standard. 1 second. That's standard operating procedure when it comes to any sort of crowd control. You saw them. They ran a psyop against Black Lives Matter in Dallas, where they acted like 5 cops died. No cops died. 2 cops didn't get shot in the head in New York. That was fake also. And they were constantly blaming Tea Parties for members for different things. They will always do that. And so yeah, I thought about this before. I'm like, I wonder if there's some way they can try to like put flat earthers on the threat assessment. The DHS threat assessment along with returning veterans or something. And that's definitely a possibility, but the more the flat earthers are seen for what they are, as this widely diverse group, this awakened meta-tribe, diverse down to the level of the individual, the less that's going to hold any water. I don't think it could work, but at one time they might have had that kind of control. Now again, if you're calling from an anonymous number, I will not answer. I don't
No.
Oh, that wasn't you.
Oh, I was about to say, no, this is myself.
No, I got somebody else trying to call in. It's like I don't answer anonymous calls because I
Oh,
can
yeah.
pretty much tell you who they are.
Yeah, I'm gonna be getting off soon too, because I like to share the show time so that way I can tune back in after I get off the phone and
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
No, it was actually
But,
it's a good question. So basically, everyone he was in the comment he had asked, he said, what does it make us if we're calling the Earth as flat way ahead of everybody else? We say ahead of the curve, but and it wouldn't be the first time a massive social change had I mean, you always have a vanguard. You always have, like with any technology, you have the early adopters, then you have the early late majorities, then you have the laggards. And the globies we're arguing with, they're just going to be the laggards. That's all.
But yeah, I just wanted to go ahead and make that prediction if you want to add that to the prediction list. I don't know, that's cool to add or whatever. But
Okay.
other than that, I just wanted to go ahead and throw that out there because they are running out of things to do. Like literally, they're just running out of stuff to make us look bad, and that would be like one of their, I guess, final solutions that would put globalists or people that are asleep, slash not awake into a panic and stuff like that.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much standard. Interesting. I wonder if they could get away with that. That's an interesting one. But by calling it out, it probably makes it less likely. Because I've never heard, like,
Well,
it's one of these things where, like, have you ever seen a flat earther say, "Hey, I believe Earth is a disk in space"? Well, no, the only people who say that are controlled opposition. So, yeah, it would obviously not be somebody we know. It wouldn't be like
and yeah,
Dubé or something.
one more one more thing before I get off of here. The whole Eric Dubay being taken down before supposed debate with Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I think he violated the terms of service, community guideline standards. I mean, I think that it was ridiculous of him to do that, to sacrifice his channel, knowing what their thing was. And I also don't exactly know what he was fighting for, because he was strangely silent during the entire month of October. He was very silent throughout the month of October when a lot of us were getting shut down, like Crow 777, for talking about government-controlled propaganda films, like the PSYOP there. And yet now he's acting like he's being suppressed because he's trying to talk about a 60-year-old PSYOP. So I'm like, you know what? Um, I just don't. Tactically, I don't agree with what he did. I agree with him that YouTube sucks. But
Oh yeah, and I'm gonna agree with you on that too, man. I mean, but I will tell Eric today if he like listens or if this gets back to him anyways. Dude, bro, we love you, man. Question is, why don't you ever live stream? Like, I've always wondered what's up with that. Like, why don't you live stream, man? I mean, like, I'm, you could totally like get on and, tell us a bunch of shit, like what you got going on in your life and all that. I'm a simple motherfucker from South Carolina, dude. I mean, like, and your videos have like woken me up. They're like actually like best to, go to, or, blah, blah, blah. I've told people to even, look you up. So you've got, a couple of views from, assholes out here in the South that have, like looked at you, so, I know like you think a lot and, blah, blah, blah. But the thing is like, dude, why don't you ever live stream? That would, get you closer to us and us closer to you. So, I mean, like, this is kind of like a community-based thing. And they're like, shout out to, Joey Silva out there, Steve Harthen, Flat Earth Accord. I mean, like, you guys are my buddies. And, I look forward to seeing you guys, like, in the chat, like, all the little, when we come in and it's a live show and all that, I look forward to seeing you guys because, like, what fucking friends? You know what I'm saying? Like, who are your real friends? Like, and I would actually love to meet you guys one day when I get financially stable. I actually have no job at the moment. And they, all of you people, especially Flat Earth Accord, have been, helping me kind of like get through things because he's the one that I've talked to the most throughout, other chats and everything. And, but yeah, other than that, love you guys. Love you too, bro. And, I'm out.
yeah, hey, thanks for calling. I appreciate it, and I hope that gets out to Eric. Thank you for your sentiments there, and I hope he hears it, and I hope he takes that into advisement. Thanks for calling. Call anytime.
All right, dude. Peace.
See ya. All right. Nameless Backward, you are now a moderator in the channel. And Anonymous Coward who keeps calling, put down the phone. I'm not going to talk to you. I don't talk to anonymous cowards. If you want to unblock your number or email me and tell me what it is, but I'm not going to open up my phone to... And the other day I called it. In fact, I'm going to shut off the phone for a minute. The other day I called this. I had this troll calling just like this, and I said, hey, watch. I guarantee that if I go live, if I shut off the stream, the person will hang up because they don't want to talk to me. They want to use this platform to say bad things about me to you, but most of these people are too cowardly to talk to me directly. Very passive aggressive trolls are, but whatever. So anyway, Nameless Backwards, you're in. If we can just get Shill Scanner in, we will be complete. We will be complete. So let's get back on track. So yeah, space junk is the next new thing. So I think that if we start, I mean, like we all know it's flat, so we can pretend to be globies. And I'm thinking we should also even, and this is something we started working on last year. Maybe it's something I shouldn't even say out loud. We have plans, I'll say that. We have plans for Earth Day. We have plans for space junk. We have plans for Elon and all the crew. So, I don't want to give away too much here. And we have a new rule, if you don't know, just for those of you who just joined us. We have, we originally it was just in one rule, which was just ban the trolls. But now it's 7 rules. We've added a few. So the first one, obviously, no agenda thumping. 2, no naysaying. 3, no procreating with globies, unless you've already done it. It's okay. 4, appropriate all penguins. 5, think and let think. 6, seize the means of perception. And then 7 is defer to Delano, meaning no debating. I mean, you can debate on your own time, but at the tip of the beak, we don't debate. We already know what we're doing. We've already set our trajectory. And so if somebody comes up to you and they say, hey, I really need to preach to you about my glorious spinning ball religion. It's beautiful. Let it consume your mind. Let me thump you with it. You can say, well, you know what? I don't have time to really debate whether or not your spinning ball makes sense, but let me just go ahead and send you a link to my friend Delano and watch one of his videos and let him know, that I sent you. And that pretty much solves that. So debates are over. All right, and hey, thanks Adam for calling in. Appreciate it. I want to take a couple of calls pretty much every night, maybe more calls depending. If anybody else wants to call in, the phone's pretty much open unless you're anonymous, in which case nobody cares what you have to say. He was debating on Instagram today. Oh, Delano, yeah. And I started off by playing a video I did earlier about Delano's debating style, because originally some people were kind of alarmed, like, oh wow, he's doing arguments from incredulity, arguments from the Bible, and I'm like, who cares? He can say the world's flat because I feel like it's flat, and that's good enough for me, because the point is the burden of evidence, the burden of proof, it's not on our side. So you can just go ahead and hand that back over to them, let them deal with it. Okay, so I'm going to close here. This is a link. This is Matty Moses. Mr. Matty Moses, he's one of our own. I'm so glad he's on our side. And this is from something he released, I think it was the beginning of November, is right along with the FEMA camp. Who Am I? Here's the link. Just go ahead and the song I'm going to play here is Get Over It. Message to all the Globies.
The first time you word flat, you just scoffed and laughed, thinking that Pythagoras knew better in the past. Yeah. You start to do some research and hit up YouTube, Mark Sargent's clues and Eric's 200 proofs. Where's the edge? Show me. Why would they be lying? Come on, man. Well, why's the horizon always rising to your horizon? Yo, I can't explain it all in the verse you take serious. Cause once you're flat smacked, it'll leave you delirious. You don't want to hear this, cognitive dissonance settles in your mad. And that's okay, those are the same feelings I had. You're digging deeper and you don't know what to believe. You're getting pissed off that you've been duped and deceived. Yo, who do we blame? NASA, the elite. Both of them. While the darker voices hiding our reality that the Earth's flat, 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 get over it. The Earth's flat, 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 get over it. Earth's flat, 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 get over it. Get over it. Throw on some ODD reality to learn some more. Yep. Got you thinking about things that you never thought before. Gravity pushes poles, turns sawdust into balls. Then you realize it's a theory and it ain't a proven law. Think density, buoyancy, and electrostatic. It's a complicated concept when you first look at it. Seeing all them pics of Earth through a fisheye lens, cause that's the only way that they can show us that it bends. 70% of Earth's water, which is nothing special. But naturally speaking, water always seeks its level. Then you start to wonder why we can't have world peace when they all play nice with Antarctic treaties. Sure do. You start seeing celebs coming out as flat earthers. So you double check that you just misheard your TV, your phone, or your radio station. Got you wondering why flat Earth's taking over the nation. Even this deep inside the rabbit hole, I have my doubts, but at the end of the day, I want to stand up and shout that the Earth's flat, 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 get over it. The Earth's flat, 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 get over it. Earth's flat, 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 get over it. Get over it.